Hey, hello. Once again, another trip down memory lane today. I'm going to talk about Sex Mad. And why? Well, it got re-released, as you probably know, tail end of last year. And today, in the mail, where is it? Here. I received 2 copies that was sent by Alternative Tentacles to me here in Amsterdam, and this is one of them, and this is it. Which is nice to see, because it was out of print for a really long time. And there we go. It looks all very nice and shiny. I got one of the, I don't know if you can see it, one of the pink ones here. Special edition, blah, blah, blah. It's the first LP I was ever on in my life, so I have a kind of soft spot in my heart for that. I'll tell you a little bit about the history of it, the cover of it, and the songs on it, the recording of it, most of which you've probably heard already, in which case just, move on to the next video your algorithm tells you to do. So the history of it, it's the first album of Nomeansno with the 3-piece, so guitar, bass and drums, and we'd already put out an EP, You Kill Me, with 5 songs on it on Undergrowth Records out of Vancouver. And then while we were touring Canada to promote that and just play gigs, we met up with people in Montreal who took an interest in us and were interested in releasing an album by us. Wow, what a concept. And we had the songs already, so that wasn't a problem. And so the people were Psyche Industries, and this is the record. I usually don't get so obsessive compulsive, no pun intended, about such things, but this is the first album I was ever on, so therefore it is still wrapped. I do have another copy which I listened to way back when. At any rate, this is it. This is the OG, as the kids say, and we were pretty happy with it when all was said and done. We had these songs, we had a lot of songs at the time. In fact, a lot of material that ended up on Small Parts and Day Everything were also around this time, but they weren't ready to come out of the oven just yet. We did You Kill Me in a big fancy studio in Vancouver, and for Sex Mad we went back to Victoria, to Key Studios, where Mama had been made, where the infamous Scientist 12-inch had been made, and we were quite happy there and did our thing. I can't really remember many stories about the actual recording of it, to be quite honest. I don't think there was much of a concept of this record. Wrong has a concept, 0 + 2 has a sort of concept behind it. Small Parts and Day Everything, absolutely. I think this is more of it's just kind of recording us, documenting our material at the time, or what we thought our strongest material was. Starts with Sex Mad, which was a John song. He played us a demo of it, which he made on some completely primitive little drum machine and synthesizer thing, and we were unconvinced, shall we say. But he said, no, play it. It'll be good. When there's guitar and drums and bass, really loud, it'll be good. And he was right, too. Dad was a Hanson Brothers song that Robbie wrote around the same time he was writing Small Parts songs. And his voice was completely shot, and he had an idea to write these sort of fake Ramon songs. And they were all pretty funny, except for Dad, which wasn't funny at all. And we ended up playing that, and people responded to it. Yes, and it sort of became the hit of the record. And we played it until we couldn't stand playing it anymore. People went, I don't think you guys should play that song anymore. And we said, yeah, I think you're right. And so we didn't. Obsessed, which I did a video of a couple months ago, one of my favorite John songs, terrific song, instrumental. It had lyrics originally, but we battled it out and decided it would be better as an instrumental. No fucking I'm not sure when that was written. I think it's quite old actually, because it was originally a sort of intro to Predators, and I think it was written, I believe, as a two-piece, though I can't be certain. And yeah, it always live. We always went from that song into Predators. Of course, Predators ended up being recorded a few times, I think including for this record, but it didn't make it on it. And in the studio, it just didn't have the vibe that it had live. So that got put off into the future after I left the band. Hunt the She-Beast. Oh yes, the infamous Hunt the She-Beast. I think that song has a bit of a bad reputation. The lyrics are kind of dodgy at times, and yet, yeah, I like it. I like the rhythm to it. I like what we were kind of trying to do musically. The thing that I think works most against it is the sort of stopping and starting of it, and the chorus just sort of always drags the song down to a kind of a pause when it should actually sort of keep its momentum going. Still, on it went. Dead Bob. Yeah, Dead Bob. Well, Dead Bob was already kind of a character because John drew Bob on the You Kill Me cover, and I think that cartoon drawing was done before Rob wrote Dead Bob. I've got Rob's lyrics up in the attic here somewhere, and yeah, it was sort of absurdist kind of song. The lyrics I think are hilarious, and it was really fun to play live. I don't know how popular it was, this song, but we always loved to play it. And then side two, the epic side. There was a sort of concept. How much of a concept it was, I don't know. That, you know, Mama had the side with 5 songs, so that was the shorter songs, the lighter songs to a degree at any rate, as much as Rob's lyrics can never be called light. And then side 2 on, or whatever you want to call it, on the other side, on Mama, had this sort of 4 big long songs. And this was the same here. On the Canadian pressing, Psyche Industry, Long Days, Metronome, Revenge, and Self-Pity. I think Long Days and Metronome are great songs. I think that live especially, they really worked well. Not really so much to say about them. I think they're some of Rob's best lyrics, and yeah, how simple they are. I mean, both Long Days and Metronome have pretty much one bass line that goes through the whole song, and it's just sort of riffing on that. John sort of especially riffing off of that one bass line repeated over and over again. Revenge. Yeah, Revenge is a weird one. I remember when Robbie came with Revenge, and it was one of his 2 guitar songs. Rob had a few of those, a handful of them, where he just thought, no bass, 2 guitars. And it was, when I first heard it, I thought, well, this is kind of rock and roll-y. It's not really what I'm into, at least at that point. But it worked, and it was very savage. To this day, I don't really kind of get the meaning, per se, of the song. And I don't know if I can say it's one of my favorite Nomeansno songs, but I think it works really well. I think it's really strong on the record. And this ends with Self-Pity, the Canadian one. And I think Self-Pity is one of the best songs that we ever wrote. And again, in concept, it's quite simple. The bass line just rumbles along, except for the chorus. It's the same thing over and over again. But I think the lyrics are great. I think it's crystal clear. I think there was a really good performance on the album, and it was a nice way to end our first record. So there you go. As you probably already know, there were other versions of this record. So this came out in Canada in, I guess, 1980. I don't even remember anymore. 87? 86, yes. And then we went down to tour through the United States, and some friends of ours, well, Chris Crud actually, knew people who worked at Alternative Tentacles and said, phoned them and said, "Oh, Nomeansno's playing in San Francisco. You should come and see them. They're really, really good." As well, Steve Bailey from the Neos in Victoria had written Jello Biafra and said, "Oh, this band's really terrific. They really should be on your label." And because Biafra was a huge Neos fan, as were we all. And so they came out and saw the show, and they liked us, and they liked what we did and who we were, and decided to put out Sex Mad on Alternative Tentacles in the States. And I have a copy of that here somewhere. What's this? This one? Yes. And this one doesn't have Hunt the She-Beast on it. It has Love Thang on it, which was one of my songs, and a really noisy racket, but I liked it, and I liked the middle section in particular. And a few other things about this. Yeah, Self-Pity opens side 2, and then Long Days and Metronome, and then ends with Revenge, which actually is a pretty good song order, I think, actually. Oh yeah, and there's a different version of No Fucking on it as well. Yeah, so then there was one that came out in the UK, for the UK and Europe crowd, and yeah, that's it here, you can see. And yeah, this had the Canadian listing on it, because they thought, well, people got a lot of copies from the States, so we want to change it so that people are more likely to buy a British copy of it, I guess. I don't know. I can't imagine that anyone would have bought, you know, an American copy and a British copy. Still, out it came. And yeah, so there's that. And God, I should talk about the cover at this point. You can see, let's take a look here. Yeah. So this is the first cover here. This one, I don't know if you can see that. This is the second one, which is a little darker. It's not quite as colorful. This one's a little closer to what my original was. Then there was this one, and then there was the British one, which is like much lighter and not the right colors. Still, whatever. We had our own record out in Britain. Terrific. Very happy. And the new one looks really good too. The pink is a little darker on this one. But it's quite colorful. It's kind of between the Psyche version and the first AT version. And I think it looks really nice. The cover, yeah, the cover, which I have this of. I've carried this around and kept it at, I've never known what to put it in. It's at a certain point got, I guess, moist or curled up here. Why I don't throw it out, I don't know. So this was just, I guess, a test thing for us to look at and go like, oh, is that correct? And we went, yes. The cover. When I was in my first ever apartment on my own on Lower Cook Street in Victoria, and I was, I guess, in my early 20s, I was trying all sorts of different things out, reading books, what a concept, but also making art, even though I wasn't someone who could actually draw. And I'd found some at a garage sale or at a thrift store. I found some old pastel crayons, and I just started goofing around with them. And on just a regular, you know, office sheet of paper, I did this drawing, and it was about like this big, and without the Sex Mad on it. And then when it came time to do the record, Rob said, "Oh, I really like that. Shall we use that for the cover?" I said, "Okay, great. I'll do the back as well." But for reasons that I don't quite understand now, we needed to have a larger version of it for the camera because, I don't know, the small version wouldn't pick up the details well enough. Something like that. I don't know. I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now. But anyway, I made this huge piece of cardboard into a copy of the little drawing that I did and put the Sex Mad title on it. And I did the same for the back. And that hangs now, at the moment, at my friend Scott's Zip Guns house and in Victoria, no, in Souk, I should say. And I'm glad that it does, because it sat underneath my bed for the longest time. I thought, what am I going to do with this? And my son's not going to want it in his house. I don't want to put it up in my house, and yet it needed to have a good home. And it was in Canada anyway. I wasn't going to drag it all the way here. So that's where it is. But we were really happy with that. It's a good cover, I think. Yeah, beyond that, it came out in a few different formats. Obviously, the vinyl you saw there. There's a CD of it here, which You Kill Me was added onto, and this came out later on. And there's a cassette as well I have in the attic, but I can't be bothered to go grab it. Yeah, it's funny with CDs. For me, when I would buy a CD, and there would be like in like say the late 80s, and there would be extra songs on it. I think great extra songs. Oh, that EP I don't have. But in my head, I'd listen to the album as the album, and then think, okay, and then there's an EP at the end. But having talked to people, yeah, over the course of the last 30 years or so, maybe 40 years, I found out that a lot of people got to know our albums by our CDs or cassettes. And so their idea of what the first song, everyone's first song is the same, should be, in theory. But like for instance here, someone might say, yeah, Paradise is a great closer for this album. But of course, it's not a closer for the album, it's a closer for the You Kill Me EP. And on this one, oh, how weird. How's that possible? Eh? Oh, I see. Okay, Revenge is the end song. Then we've shoehorned in the other version of No Fucking and Hunt the She-Beast on here as well. Then followed by the You Kill Me EP. Whatevs. So yeah, but still, it was cool having things out on CD. Now it seems like CD is kind of the cheapy option, but I can tell you at the time, it was really cool to have your music on CD, and vinyl was like, yeah, it's as good as we can kind of get, but it'll start deteriorating. There'll be scratches and pops, and the bass is never reproduced like you want it to have it reproduced. It doesn't sound ever like quite how it did in the studio, where CDs was like, oh, instant hi-fi for, well, next to nothing, no, because they were expensive then, but yeah, still low-cost hi-fi at any rate. So I guess that's it. I guess that's my Sex Mad story, which really isn't much of a story. Like I said, we didn't really have a huge following at that point. People knew us in Canada because we toured there a couple of times. Some people knew us in the States because of us playing down there more than the success of the You Kill Me EP, which there was no success of the You Kill Me EP. But as soon as we got on Alternative Tentacles, which was a big thing then, make no mistake, suddenly we could get more shows and get noted on whatever. That's not the right way to put it, but people might think, oh, this is on AT, we'll play it on our college radio show, whatever. Or someone might make a cassette and say, oh, there's this new AT band called Nomeansno, they're from Canada. Here you go. And Sex Mad was the one that had Dad on it, which, like I said, people really liked. Yeah, and after this, it was like, yeah, what next? Well, we knew that we wanted to do something different, which was kind of always the idea with our albums. So Sex Mad was pretty straightforward, actually, in terms of its execution. We did try to do a lot of studio, not tricks, but studio stuff on it. I mean, reverb and synthesizers and the whole thing. Small Parts in the Day Everything sessions was everything in the kitchen sink, and every song having a completely different mix. Wrong was supposed to be very straightforward, and I don't even know what 0 + 2 was supposed to be, but yeah, it was what it was. So yeah, but this was the start of it all. And even had we, I don't know, died in a fiery plane crash after Sex Mad, thankfully not, I would have been in the afterlife, would I believe in an afterlife? I would have been happy and proud that we would have put out this record. And yeah, that's all. Where was I? Oh yeah.